here's what strikes me. I'm gonna suggest that Paul has a serious advantage over us. Okay? What's Paul's advantage over us?
Very close contact with God.
Okay. He has a conversion experience. Right?
Right.
Okay. I'm going to suggest the idea that perhaps Paul, after having this direct conversion experience, in his suffering, that perhaps, I don't want to say it's easier to turn to God, but I want to say that perhaps he's got a lot more influence from the conversion. In other words, I can't compare myself to Paul, because I have a feeling that if it was me in the dark prison cell, I wouldn't be singing praises. But I don't have this mountaintop conversion experience. I mean, I don't have that kind of an experience behind me. And I point this out to say, I think we have to be a little bit careful when we look at these people like Paul, and even the disciples themselves, who were in direct communication and spent 3 years with Jesus. I think we have to be a little bit careful, if you will, that we don't feel like we're falling short or not able to live up to what we're seeing in the scriptures with some of these people. Does that make sense? I mean, I think it would be easy to, in your frustration, begin to feel guilty because, well, Paul wouldn't have done this. Well, Paul's circumstances were a tad bit different than ours. You know what I mean? So it just strikes me as he's talking here and talking about suffering and that we turn to God. But remember, I've said before, God's shoulders are big. So maybe we, at first glance, might not be the ones that are saying thank you and praise God, but at first glance might be the ones that are angry. And I personally don't want to have a guilt trip because of that. I can't live up to the standards that Paul had. Right? Mm-hmm. And even in my call, when we talk about the call, and you talk about the call of the pastor, and what is it? And what is it, and how do you know that you're called? You will find people that talk about a significant life experience that's happened. For Martin Luther was in the woods. It was lightning out. Do you remember this story? It was lightning out. Lightning was coming close to Martin Luther, and Martin Luther said, God, if you save me from this lightning, I will follow you and remain faithful to you forever. And he didn't get struck by the lightning. That's a mountaintop experience. When I say mountaintop experience, I mean that's a significant experience that's so significant it changes your life.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we call mountaintop experience. So that was a mountaintop experience. I have a friend that's a pastor who talks about being in the river in a canoe and hearing God's voice as he's canoeing. God's voice probably said, try to stay in the middle of the river, dummy. But he heard some kind of there was some kind of a significant life event or something significant that happened. For Moses, it was the burning bush. Yeah, absolutely. But then there are some of us that don't have this mountaintop experience, that the call is more of a quiet tug that just says, this is where I need you. We're not hearing voices, fortunately, or I'd be locked up. But we're not hearing voices, it's just a quiet sense in your heart that this is what you need to do. So I have a hard time when I try to compare myself to something like this, where in the darkest of moments, they are praising God and singing hymns, rather than the sense that says, wait a minute, if I was in that darkness, I would be upset by being in that darkness. Right? So I only point that out because remember last week we had that discussion and we were talking about what happens if you're mad at God and then you feel guilty afterwards. No, you don't feel guilty afterwards. If I'm mad at my dad, I don't feel guilty afterwards. My dad understands me. He knows me. You know? I got mad at my dad last year. My mom was in rehab 2 years ago. My mom was in rehab, and my dad is very controlling and very, I'm in control, I'm the one, and I was trying to help my mom do something, and my dad started to get mad at me, and I said, well, if I'm not going to be able to help here, I'm just not going to bother being here, and I walked out. And I was mad. I was mad. You know, so and a while later, you know, you can't stay away. I had to walk back in. And my dad didn't say anything. He just ran up and just gave me a hug. And he said, you know, I love you. Because he realized that, but he's not mad at me for being mad at him. I'm his son. God's not mad at me because I'm mad. He understands. He understands and he helps us through that. So it's not a guilty kind of thing. It's just, but I say that just because stuff like that scares me, that we're being held up to a standard that I don't know that we can meet. And that if we can't meet it, I don't want to feel guilty about it. I don't want to feel like I failed because I haven't failed. Does that make sense? No. Mm-hmm. Yes, maybe. I'm just out on the deep end.
How do you keep yourself to a standard when you're in the seeking process?
Say that again.
How do you keep yourself to this level of standard you're referring to when you're in a learning process?
Yeah.
So I mean, do you feel as though you've achieved this level?
I haven't achieved it.
That's what I mean. So I'm getting at.
No,
Otherwise,
I haven't
always
achieved it. That's
we're
why
always in this learning.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
all.
I mean, how do you realistically compare your life to Jesus? I mean, how do you realistically live up to what you know? We were talking the other night at the church down there where I'm at, and we were talking about this thing about turn the other cheek. You know, somebody turn the other cheek and then no, what do you turn the other? Yeah. Now there's a lot of ways to interpret that, but I'm not at that standard yet where I can just turn my, you know, here slap me here too. No, you slap me in the cheek, I'm going to be mad. Because I haven't reached that level. And I don't know if I will ever reach that. It's terrible to say that as the pastor. But I don't know if I'll ever reach that level. Maybe that's a level we reach in heaven. Maybe that's not a level that we try to follow the example. We live the best life that we can. But we are not perfect. We are not. And if we try to live like we are, we set ourselves up for failure. Right? Mm-hmm. That's like saying, I'm not going to sin. Right. Until 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, I'm going to, you know, I mean, we set ourselves up for failure sometimes if we don't have a realistic expectation as to who we are and what we are. Right? And I don't mean it as an excuse, but we're just people. We're just people. And if there's a message that I take from Jesus, it's okay. We're all accepted. It's okay. Is that not the message that I take from Jesus? Isn't that what we take out of it? No matter where you are and you walk in life, you're welcome. Why? Because it's okay.
It's like taking baby steps. And all through your life, with God, you're taking baby steps. You're learning as you're going.
That's what Dennis is saying. You're in that process of
You're in that-
learning
Yep,
as you're going along, yeah.
How many times I've heard it said that we as Christians, when we're converted, we're not perfect. It's a lifetime process.
Yeah,
So,
the only perfect one is God.
yeah. Well, the only perfect one was Jesus and we
Yep.
crucified him.
Yep,
I
yep.
mean, so, you know, so yeah, so I don't mean to walk down that road for a long, just the way it was, that's the second time I've heard that at the end. It really struck me like,
Yeah.
you know, that's almost a judgmental way to say that. It's almost a holier than thou, you know, suffering, and you will suffer, and yeah, we're gonna go through trials and tribulations, and we're gonna go through sad times, but I took offense to the way he said that at the end. It made me feel like I can't live up to the standard that this man is trying to set for our lives. That's all. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. So, okay. Thoughts? What do you think? It's 2:30. What do you think? I got another question for you if you want to continue on, but it's 2:30, so we've already been on for an hour.
What's the question? You got any paper left?
I got another pad upstairs. You know, that's funny because we were looking at budgets yesterday, and we were talking about Christian ed stuff and whatnot, and I said, well, you know, there are some Christian ed expenses because those pads I go through all the time are about $30 a piece, so we do need some budget money for that. But one of the things that we talked about Wednesday night, we did a Bible study, and we have a pastor there who is, his name is Greg Larson. He's a wonderful guy. I don't know him real well, but I recommended him to be the interim pastor at the church that we're at. But my sense is that he is more liberal than I am. And one of the things that he said that I had a really hard time with was that perhaps we don't have to necessarily believe all of the stories or all of the stories about Jesus. In other words, what he was talking about specifically was the virgin birth. Now, you're a Catholic, aren't you? I don't mean to put my, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it like that. You're a Catholic, oh my gosh! But the virgin birth is very important to the Catholic, because don't you do the rosary? Doesn't that revolve around Mary? And the importance of Mary? And the Greek term for Mary is Theotokos, the mother of God. Well, he's trying to say that there are some Christians that don't believe in the virgin birth. And that's okay to not believe. And I find fault with that. I find fault with that. For one thing, and I bring this up because you can talk about all the tenets that we believe in, right? What do we believe in as Christians? What are the main things that we believe? First of all, we believe in the Trinity, right? Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Okay, what else do we believe?
Conversion. The conversion.
The conversion. Okay, tell me what you mean. Are you talking about communion?
No, I'm talking about Christ risen.
Oh, no, yeah, the resurrection.
Baptism.
The resurrection, yes, defeating death. The baptism,
Forgiveness of sins.
okay, forgiveness of sins. Okay. We believe in the virgin birth, right? Okay. Life after death, yep, I take that. Well, and we will call that salvation. Okay? Yep. What else? What else do we believe?
This is the word of God.
Thank you, okay. We will call that inspired. That God inspired and the Bible as the ultimate authority. Thank you. Okay. Now, we then agree, do we not, that these are truths. We believe these to be true. We believe these to be the truths of our religion, right? So we would say, if you don't believe in the resurrection, okay, but then you are by definition not Christian, right? If you don't believe that you have to be baptized to come into the faith, then by definition you are not Christian, right? Okay. So when it comes to the concept of Mary and how Jesus was born, thank you, if you don't believe that, then are you still Christian? And the argument is that yes. My argument is no. Now I'm more conservative. I'm probably more fundamental than I am liberal. But I don't believe that you can take some of this and take it out and still say that you are Christian. For one thing, if the virgin birth does not happen, and somehow Mary is pregnant some other way, somebody forces themselves on her or something else, then does that not then mean that Jesus is adopted? See, the significance of the virgin birth is that that's how God comes into the world. So if you say that didn't happen, then you have to say, okay, fine, but then God must have adopted Jesus, right? That was the argument in the 300s.
But then you're putting this in there.
Oh, I'm just saying, no, I'm not saying we believe in adoption.
No, but
Yeah.
you're putting that in there. No one else has said that. The only thing I can see on there, I have a question, is like the virgin birth because of the conception process that's normal with human beings.
Yes.
But then when they say that, that's all the rest of this is inspiration or mind of thought, in
Yeah.
my mind, by looking at the rest of it.
Yeah.
But otherwise, when you think about all the other things, that's the only one that has in question that we biologically see otherwise. The rest of it, they're all mind,
Right.
mind figuration that you don't have a lot of challenge out there that says it's this other way.
Well, I would argue that you might with this. You might have an argument against the Trinity, the 3-in-1 concept. But yes, you're right. Otherwise, it's except for this. But then you have to say, where's the miracle? Where's the divine power? And if it isn't a miracle, and if it isn't divine power, then we have to say, well then, he's adopted. God adopted him, which is what they said in the 300s at the Council of Nicaea. The one group believed he was adopted, one group believed that he was from the beginning, Word of God, and was the direct Son of Man. So I don't understand how you can say that this is, that this didn't happen.
So he's not denying that Jesus is Jesus, Son
No,
of God.
he's just saying, we
how we got
don't
it.
have the virgin, and I don't know that he's saying that. He's saying that there are people that are saying that. There are people that do not believe in the virgin birth. To which I say, if he isn't a virgin birth, then he must be adopted. How else can you explain it? So I guess, I say this to say, I think we have certain tenets that we believe in. And I don't think you can start throwing them out and say, well, maybe this didn't happen, or maybe that, well, maybe not, well, maybe this and not that. No, because I think once you do that, then you lose sight of the faith that we have. You lose sight of who we are as Christians. So I was disturbed by this conversation on Wednesday night. I mean, I don't want to, I don't wanna argue with another pastor, but I was disturbed by this concept that says, no, this is not the case. This is not the case. Or, well, you can pick and choose what you want to believe. You know, I was disturbed by that concept. And so, you know, I think there are tenets that we have, that we believe, that make up who we are and what we believe. Yes, Paul?
I would be a bit disturbed, but for this reason. You can go through the Bible and prove every one of those things. You can prove them through the Bible. If you try anywhere else to prove them, I won't accept it. But you prove it in here,
Yeah,
and I'm perfectly happy.
yeah. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. You can prove just about anything through the Bible by picking out bits and pieces. And we
No,
see
no, no.
people do that. They pick up, I'm not saying you do,
No, no,
I'm just saying
I
people do
understand.
that. They pick out bits and pieces and they don't look at the context and they just, well, the Bible says this.
Yeah.
Well, what does the Bible really say? So yes, we can prove all of this stuff because it's all in the Bible. And the Bible's inspired by God. And because we have faith, we believe in what's in the Bible. Right? Yeah. Even if we don't. Now, I'm not so fundamental that I will say, well, how red was the Red Sea? I mean, they parted the water. I mean, the point is they went through. So I'm not saying we pick it apart to the point where we get so fundamental that it's like, but I am saying that there are certain things that we believe that are in the Bible that if we throw them out, I think that we don't have a basis upon which we're basing our faith then. Right?
You know, and a lot of people,
Complicated.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I agree.
a lot of people will read, you know, one scripture, and they don't read around it
Yeah,
to
they
get the
don't
whole
read the
picture.
context. That's right.
Yeah, they'll read the whole thing to get the whole
That's right.
picture.
That's right. That's right.
I'm glad you said that because I wouldn't accept anything, well, anyone tells me I hear based on one or two scriptures.
No.
You show me in the whole Bible, because the Bible proves itself.
That's what convinces me.
Yeah. 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 So I just like I said, I only bring this up because I was so taken aback by that concept that says, well, we don't have to, you know, believe all these things, and I just wanted to stand up and say, I don't know where you're coming from, you're a good friend of mine, but that's not what page I'm on. This is the page I'm on, and you know, you need to know that that's the page that I'm on. That's where I'm coming from.
I'm surprised you would get through seminary, not believing.
Well, I don't know that, you know, I think a lot of people go through seminary and then they begin to, or they continue, seminary is a process of questioning.
Okay.
Okay, so you go through seminary and then as you go on, you begin to question more and continue to question more and more, like all of us do.
Yeah.
You know, so, and this guy's not 20, I mean, he's, I don't know, 45 or whatever. So, I mean, so I'm sure that, you know, if we talk with him more and more, we'd get a sense of